I'm just gonna open up a white strand map here to kind of show how this build travels around pretty quickly. So at the start of a map, you want to press sap and your blade fall, and the moment you run through your first pack or like a rare monster, then you should be good to go for the rest of the map. And of course, like you'll be killing stuff on the way, but just in terms of speed, you need to get through stuff. It's definitely a lot better than a lot of the shrine boat usually is, because you don't have Quicksilver Onslaught, you don't have the speed that Mageblood give you, and all that stuff. So that's just to show that you are relatively quick on this because of Soul Eater. So as usual, I'll try to get through the PoE quickly, but there's a few things I want to like explain. So firstly, like the core mechanic of this build is replenishing shrine, and it essentially gives you 200% mana regen. You combine that with flat mana regen through chevrons and using Oaths of Rising so that clarity is free, and then you take a 21 clarity and you scale a bit of aura effect. Essentially, you end up with a bunch of mana regen. So after you get a bunch of flat mana regen, you want to take Power of Purpose to cut your total mana down lower, and then you want to start using mechanic that drain your percentage mana, right? So tincture, and the other one that we are tagging on is Bladefall of Trothus, and using that with the classic Coiling Whisper. So important to mention that last league they actually quote unquote fixed Bladefall of Trothus with Whispers of Infinity, because it used to be that it only took your total mana cost with even when you were using Whispers of Infinity, so you were basically like degenning maybe 50 ES per tick or per second. Um, and now you degen like 3,000 ES per second or whatever the percentage is, right? So, but you can still play it if you have enough ES regen, but I don't think it's an optimal way to play it. So this is what we're doing with the mana. This is basically the crux of the build here. So this set of unique items along with the the Militant Faith for power purpose. And then you also want to fix your mana cost, so Clarity Watcher's Eye, since you're already using Clarity for your flat. You want to take a bunch of reduced mana cost. Your Militant Faith want to be reduced mana cost. The aura effect is nice for Clarity. And then um, Inspiration, yeah, and Inspiration for mana cost for a lot of your stuff. Other than that, this is pretty basic ES gear. Hits can be evaded, so you don't have to go fix your accuracy. We're playing Smite because Smite's good. This is for mapping. You want to play Ancestral Call. For bossing and stuff like that, you want to play Wed, or you want to play Conk Effect if you don't mind going for like a white socket. I just play Wed because you're switching out a red gem for another red gem. The other important thing is that you want your duration on the pro chains to be below the duration of which the volley of the blade falls comes down, right? So that your curse actually goes off. You can check this by going to your link for your temp chains and look at the skill duration. Right now I play with the duration mastery for 10% less. You don't need it. You just need to grab this cluster over there. But I do like it being a bit more responsive, and also you're playing polymath. So, it doesn't feel as bad as usual. A bit of damage and a bit more recovery on kills, not bad. Other than that, Your yours is pretty standard. You can play Flesh and Stone or you can play Hero of Ice. Just depends on what you're doing. Uh, I play Tempest Shield for the shock immune since you're not ailment immune on this. And then Blade Flurry, GC Blade Flurry is like the rest of your damage, the rest of your single target damage. You will only need to desecrate on like bosses, over bosses or whatnot. But generally, you just play throughout the map. You will auto exert it, or like you get to the map boss and you can desecrate, and you'll be completely fine. Um, Tincture effect is really important on this build because that is basically your ramp for this build. So the more tincture effect you have, the quicker you ramp. So right now, at 100 stack of mana burn, I am at the cap for Salvador Seasons. So anything above it is just like I'm already good, right? Like anything above 100 mana burn, it is just still 200% pen, but like you just have to be able to just sustain it. Like for me, my build right now, I think I can sustain. Usually, I'll manually turn it off at like 160, but I think I can go to like 170. Like even at 170, I have positive mana regen, and my mana cost per second is still not that close, right? With the regen plus the leech. So, but I just leave it at 100 for calcs. It's also important that you get cooldown recovery and you want increased mana burn rate so that you ramp faster, right? You don't want your rate, your tincture to burn slower. You want your tincture to burn faster because by default this is like every 1-ish second. So let's say you want to get to 100 stacks, it will take you 100 seconds, and right now it only takes me like 52 seconds, right? And not that you don't do any damage below 100 stacks. So let's say you only have half, right? Still pretty good. Then you might just need to desecrate on like maybe a tanky or rare or something. But um, the other than that, the offensive mod on this is basically resonating, and then if you have like mirrors and mirrors, you would go for echoing or acceleration is the best. So you would have to go acceleration replenishing, and then charge generation isn't too bad. Um, you can always drop a bit of ES, and then you can go for like Relic or something, but you will find a way to fit an acceleration shrine into your build, right? If you have the option for the acceleration shrine. Few other cool things is I think I already talked about tincture effect, but specifically this rune graph, this league is like really strong, especially with the shrine, right? Like your tincture abuse, and you already have no shrine, so this sorry, have no flash, so this is just like positive. Rod blood is really good. Nudist League too, especially if you CI. It functionally reads 10%, less physical damage. Like your Fizmax hit doesn't go up, but like functionally, when you CI and you can poison them, like this basically reads like that. The way you poison is just through a tattoo. The rest of the tattoo is for crit reduction, um, and then crit reduction through here on the mastery, and then you add 90% with the endurance charge. So if you get one more, you get 100%. But I do think that the anoint has to be Legacy of the Wilds. Other than that, oh, the one last cool thing I want to mention is Death Marked. This reads like it reads a bit weird, but it does what you think it does. It's just basically level 30 Assassin's Mark plus Mark on hit. But the important thing here is that it says Mark skills cost no mana. So essentially, when you're playing Power of Purpose, you really have to fix your mana cost because you you you're reserving percentage of your mana, but your um, absolute mana cost is has to be low, right, to sustain your low mana pool. And this essentially just solves Coiling Whisper because uh, The downside of Coiling Whisper is that you basically don't get to run curses, like normal curses. So it tends to push you into like builds that use mark on hit, um, which basically like bypass the downside a bit of Coiling Whisper. And so, when you're using an attack build, you definitely want mark on hit. And in order to essentially use mark on hit on this build, you need it to be free mana cost. Um, this is the more expensive version. This is what my character is currently because of I have a lot of quality of life on it. So stun immune, I went and craft gear for stun immune, try to get as much crit reduction as possible. Keep in mind that 90% versus 100% crit damage reduction is still a giant difference. Like just keep that in mind. Like being crit immune is still like a way, way, way like bigger difference than just like 90% crit damage reduction. And then shock, chill, freeze immune. Because I'm still using Brine King that I'm getting chill on my boots. But if you want to play Lunaris, you have to go for freeze immune on your boots. And you lose 20% movement speed. But um, this is what I played before I switched. Essentially, you're just using all of your suffixes on your gear to solve for resist. You want to solve for attributes. Um, and you're going for like a slightly different militant faith that cuts out a lot of your decks, but you do get a bit more curse effect. Sorry, aura effect, and reduce mana cost, so your mana cost feels better. But you don't have any crit reduction like from our chest piece because that's a more expensive fracture. You don't have stun immunity. You don't have shock immunity if you're not running Tempest Shield. So you might have to. I ran just like Shock Flash. I had a CB Jewel on like a rare jewel, which was a lot worse. Like you can also run like a bleeding CB Flask. Um, but you just have to press two flasks and then two rising jars. So yeah, just less quality of life, slightly less tanky, but overall pretty similar. Like the mechanics is the same. Overall skeleton is the same. So